Story 1. My hobbies are reading, gaming, travel, and fitness. My career simply funds my life. Story 2. Family and friends matter most. My career is simply a way to earn money. Story 3. Peace of mind, chickens, and feeding tired bumblebees sugar water. Story 4. There is the Harvard study of adult development, running well over 75 years now. One of the results was, at the end of their lives, most participants were proudest of being a good friend, a good brother, a good husband, and a good father. Not money, not career, just being a decent human being to others. I want that. Story 5. Family, friends, and hobbies. Life is too short to focus only on my job. Story 6. Life. Living to live. Humans invented careers, the workweek, and money. All of it is made up and holds no meaning in the end. While we like to think we will live to be 90 or older, the cold hard truth is that we almost all know someone who died in middle school, high school, or college. We all know people whose parents died in their 40s or 50s. None of us know when our time is up. So when your time is over, are you really going to spend your last seconds thinking, I wish I had worked harder to get that promotion? Many people who make it to retirement work their lives away wanting to travel or see certain things. Then they retire with the money to do so, but they have lost their health on the way. Is it worth it? Someone somewhere along the way told you that you needed a job to make money to take a trip to see the Grand Canyon, the pyramids, or to experience a different culture, and you believed them. Obviously, I understand the need for a central basis of trade and profession for the betterment and advancement of society. That said, I leave you with the story of the investment banker vacationing in Mexico. An American investment banker was at the pier of a small coastal Mexican village late one morning when a small boat docked. Inside the boat was just one fisherman who had already caught several large fish. The American complimented the fisherman on the fish and asked how long it took to catch them. The fisherman replied, "Only a little while." The banker then asked why he didn't stay out longer to catch more fish. The fisherman said he had caught enough to provide for his family's needs for a while, and even to give some fish away to others in the village. The banker then asked, "But what do you do with the rest of your time?" The fisherman said, "I sleep late, play with my children, take siestas with my wife, and stroll into the village where I sip wine and play guitar with my friends. I have a full and busy life." The banker scoffed. "I am an experienced businessman and can help you," he said. "You should spend more time fishing, and with the proceeds buy a bigger boat. With the proceeds from the bigger boat, you could have a fleet of fishing boats, open your own cannery, and control distribution," he said. "Of course, you would need to leave the small coastal village and move to a bigger city to run the growing enterprise." The fisherman asked, "But how long will that all take?" The banker replied, "Oh, 15 to 20 years or so." "But what then?" asked the fisherman. The banker laughed and said, "That's the best part. When the time is right, you would sell your company and become very rich. You would make millions." "Millions, then what?" asked the fisherman. The banker said, "Then you could retire, move to a small coastal fishing village where you could sleep late, play with your kids, take siestas with your wife, and stroll to the village where you could sip wine and play guitar with your friends." The fisherman smiled and walked away. Story 7. To enjoy life as much as I can. Work is merely a tool to do that. If I could enjoy life without money, I would. Story 8. Have the highest quality free time possible. I want to be home, spending time with my wife, my daughter, and my pets, and I want the freedom to prioritize that. I became an entrepreneur with that goal in mind. Although I now work longer hours, I work with my wife and the goal is clear. I feel alive when going home. Before, I was just tired all the time. It's good to have goals in life beyond your career, but you must ensure those goals are attainable without making excessive sacrifices for money. Story 9. Gardening, cats, gaming, weightlifting, rowing, volunteering, life. It is not objectively bad or wrong to be career-focused, but the idea that it should be the norm for everyone is part of capitalist propaganda and should be resisted. Story 10. I am 43 years old. I know nobody who is career-focused. Everyone works because they have to or to finance their hobbies. Story 11. my husband, and my daughter. I previously worked in corporate human resources, and I can tell you that if your focus is work, it is seriously misplaced. We lost 3 employees to COVID-19 in 2020. All of their jobs were posted before they even had the funeral. You are replaceable at work. You are not replaceable at home. Story 12. Being content with what I have, not needing much. I am fine with a simple life. Story 13. I wish more people asked questions like this. I am 45 years old and have 7 years of gaps in my resume. The simple answer is years of travel and long-distance hiking. I am also deeply devoted to my wife. Story 14. Living life one day at a time and ensuring I am enjoying all the little things in life that I find most important. Connecting with nature, friends, and loved ones. I also love learning new things, especially life skills. I have seen a lot of horrific things in my young life, enough to have learned quickly that status, money, and a career are among the least important things and will never give me a feeling of purpose and happiness. You only get one chance at this, and I am doing everything I can to experience as much as possible and to the fullest. Story 15. Traveling and seeing as much of the world as I can, and meeting many different people along the way. Story 16. My son and I are focused. I told a coworker yesterday that I am not loyal to any company. I am loyal to setting my son up for success later in life, and if I am able to do that, then I have also helped myself for later in life. Story 17. To relax and unwind at home. I will work hard as long as I get enough personal time. There is never enough personal time. Story 18. I am in my 40s and, for the first time in 10 years, I am not career-focused. I quit my job a few weeks ago because I no longer had a full, happy life due to my employer. Now, I am living the beach life I have been wanting. I am focusing on swimming, biking, preparing fabulous meals, and spending time with family and friends. Story 19. I feel bad for people who are career-focused. Have fun, man. Story 20. Stability and general enjoyment of life, along with ethical hedonism. The world is on fire. You only live once, and I am free to assign whatever meaning to life I want. I might as well get as much out of it as possible while I am here. Story 21. Work to live, not live to work. I am, by all measures, very successful in my career. However, everything I have done to advance was focused on improving the lives of my family, my children, a comfortable home, and the opportunity to travel. I perform well at work, but I will not check emails on vacation. I will attend every game for my children and have dinner with my family every night. Story 22. I'm very much in the work to live camp rather than the live to work camp. Life is more than work. I make enough money to live comfortably, go on a vacation every year, own my home, and have next to no debt. Why should I feel the need to work more or push to get ahead? I'm happy where I am. Why should I set my ambitions higher? My focus is enjoying my life, doing things I like, spending my free time with people whose company I enjoy, and feeling generally unstressed. I just try to enjoy life however that may be. I don't enjoy work, so why should that be any part of my life focused beyond making enough money to do the things I enjoy? Story 23. Nothing really. Maybe that's why I feel like there is no point in living. But for now, I am just going with the flow, trying to enjoy the weekends and dreading the weekdays. Story 24. Learning as much as possible about everything. The world is wide and full of wonders. I like the side quests. Story 25. Staying alive and not being a jerk to my children when I am miserable. Story 26. Trying to be as happy and as decent a human being as I can. Live in the present. Just take life as it comes. Story 27. Nobody should be career-focused. Those who have been influenced. They have become slaves and are missing out on the true purpose of life. I feel sad for those people. Story 28. To reduce my hours to 20 to 25 hours a week while maintaining a sustainable salary, I have about 5 to 10 more hours left to cut. Life is too precious to spend 1/3 of your youth at a desk. It is wild to imagine we spend 2/3 of our youth sleeping and working. And for what? A fancy title to brag to your friends about, which they probably would not even care about in the first place. Story 29. Enjoying my 20s. Saving as much money as I can while still living my life and doing things I love like going to concerts, swimming, writing, reading, spending quality time with my boyfriend, cooking, and baking. I don't love my job, but I also don't hate it. I realized I don't have to love my job to love my life. The money I make mostly goes to things I love to do, so that is what I am focused on. Story 30. I shifted from a managerial position to one where I can work from home and just coast through my workday so that I can focus on my hobbies afterward without feeling mentally drained, while still making enough to afford those hobbies and keep a roof over my head. I spent the first 5 or 6 years of my career so focused on moving upward that I was constantly burning out. Eventually, I got to the position I wanted, and it only got worse. I received an offer for my current job to work from home. I have a vague schedule I need to be available during, and I get paid more than when I was working hard trying to get into management. My wife helped me realize that I was spending too much energy at work and was often bringing my work home with me. That conversation caused a significant shift in my values, and now I put my energy into a podcast, playing music, gaming, and biking. Story 31. Same hobbies: golf, collecting, video games, and cooking. What is crazy is that as soon as I stopped chasing money, my income increased tenfold from $3,000 per month to $30,000. Story 32. Raising 2 boys into great men is a huge task, but it is my biggest and most important goal in life. Story 33. Kids, friends, family, health, holidays. The job pays for it all but is not my main focus. I work to live, not live to work. Story 34. Meditation and learning to be present now and fully experience my feelings. Story 35. Trying to get by without succumbing to my depression, binge eating disorder, or misanthropy. Story 36. Surviving. When I manage that, I am planning a trip to Istanbul to see my favorite things: cats and buildings. Maybe after that, education, but I am disillusioned right now. Story 37. We should be the norm, not the exception. Devoting your life to an economic and corporate machine is both senseless and pitiful. Maybe it fills the same hole that fervently believing in a religion or cult does, contributing to something bigger than themselves, even though in this case that thing is monstrous and does not care for them at all. I am focused on literally anything and everything else other than my career. I do as little work as I can get away with while still collecting a paycheck. Story 38. Knowledge. I aim to learn more and more by reading extensively. Story 39. Skateboarding. I am 34. I stopped skateboarding at 26 to focus on my career and set up my life for the long term, including a house, job, and retirement. Now I have a well-paying job that is not too stressful. I live in a beautiful place and have a nice little cottage. It took a lot of effort to get where I am, but it took even more effort to stop being career-focused. I believe it is necessary for everyone to focus on their career at some point and get their act together. However, you can end up tying yourself in knots by pursuing it too ferociously. It is addictive, and you can waste years of your life forcing yourself to be interested in career advancement that no longer truly interests you. If you find yourself doing extreme efficiency and productivity rituals just to complete your daily work, you are probably in that place. I started skateboarding again because I love it. I have been doing it for a few years now, and having experienced adult life, I can safely say there is nothing in the world that makes me happier. There is much to be said about returning to the child you left behind when you grew up. Sure, I could advance my career and watch the number in my bank account go up, but I would rather fulfill my childhood dream and land some of the tricks I always wanted before my body will not allow me anymore. Story 40. Enjoying that life. By the time I was 25, I had been to more funerals, including one of my parents and way too many friends, than I had been to baby showers or weddings. At a young age, I realized life is very short and the only thing we will care about when we face death is how much of it we enjoyed. I remember a saying I heard long ago: no one ever lies on their deathbed and says, "I wish I had spent more time working." Story 41. I closed my business to work on a farm. The business was successful, but I was unbelievably stressed and had no time to enjoy life. Now, I make a fraction of what I was making before, but I am much happier. My family, Friends, horses, and dogs are my focus. I have time to trail ride, sleep in, and relax in peace and quiet. I would never give that up for another high-paying, stressful career. Story 42. Training me on subjects relating to the information and communication technology sector, which has been in great demand in recent years. Story 43. Lack of constant fatigue, excluding sports-related activities because I am going to be fit this summer. Story 44. My focus is to be a source of positive energy in the lives of people I love, spoiling my parents, siblings, and future partner. That indirectly motivates me to be career-focused. I feel like I am messing up so far, though. I was not made for a 9-to-5 job. Story 45. Playing games, playing Dungeons and Dragons, doing activities with friends, going out with my camera. I work enough to pay my bills, put food on the table, save 25% of my paycheck, and have enough for my hobbies. Story 46. Happiness, enjoyment, peace, stability, love, games, friendships, laughter, bigger muscles, stuff like that. Story 47. Mostly just health and happiness. I spend most of my time and energy managing a friend's farm. I still have a work-from-home job in advertising that pays my bills, but I am not ambitious for career advancement. I could even start my own business doing this work and make significantly more money, which I had been doing prior to making health and happiness my main focus. I may become more money motivated again at some point, but for now I just want to be a good man according to my beliefs and stay healthy in what I consider to be a sick society. I have found these pursuits to be more difficult and rewarding than pursuing money or seeking peer validation. Story 48. Being a father and my wife's supporter. She has a successful career, and I am better at managing the household and providing support. I like it, although people assume my life is easy just because of my job. Story 49. Personal growth, hobbies, exercise, photography, adventures with my wife. Story 50. I do not have one. I get by paycheck to paycheck without too much effort. Life is simple for me. Story 51. I'm in my 20s. I have an associate degree in accounting, but I graduated 4 years ago and have done nothing with my degree. I do not want to go back to school. I am going with the flow right now. I have a loving, caring girlfriend who is going through some difficult parts of her life, and my focus is just being there for her. Story 52. Wife, children, hobbies. Maintaining a career is highly important, but if it starts to take too much time from these three things, it is the career that will change, not the time with my wife, children, and hobbies. Therefore, it is technically a lower priority. Story 53. Just making sure I earn enough to keep a roof over my head, food on the table, and give my dog the life she deserves. Story 54. We are experts in mastering the art of finding the perfect meme for every occasion. Story 55. My mental and physical health must be my focus. I am still suffering from post-COVID and am chronically ill. Hobbies, friends, and family. Story 56. Hobbies and family. I have never considered myself as having a career, just hobbies in the software industry that are fortunately good enough for someone to pay for, which funds my life. My newest hobby is cars, which is starting to be good enough to make money. Story 57. I would love to say I am not career-focused, but even with just 40 hours a week, I spend more waking hours on my job than on anything else in life. Story 58. I spent my early adult life focused on my career. Then I spent the last 4 years concentrating on becoming competitive in my chosen hobbies. This year, we are starting a family, and I expect my focus will shift fully to becoming family-oriented. Story 59. I was socially focused for 15 years, career-focused for 10, and have spent the past year focused on changing my life to be happy by just being alive. I am a yoga teacher now, focused on helping people get tools to find ease and peace in life. Story 60. I like money and staying busy. I have had 2 separate careers and do not want either again. Story 61. I try to have fun and enjoy life as much as possible. I make enough to live comfortably. I could have made much more if I focused on a career. Story 62. Maturing personality and understanding the small aspects of life, from which the significant ones are made. Story 63. My nieces and nephews' success as humans includes mountain biking, dirt jumping, exercise, and passionate intimacy when it happens. Story 64. Having fun, learning new things, connecting with other humans, and improving as a musician. I have always envied career-focused people because they have the potential to have all of the above and a decent paycheck. I have debated whether one can choose to enjoy their career even if they do not, so that they can take home good money and still do all the things they want to do without burning out. Story 65. Work hard enough to get comfortable and then live. I just moved into my house with a small bit of land where I plan to keep bees, make mead, raise goats, chickens, and grow vegetables. Work to live, do not live to work. Story 66. Trying to be happy and make my loved ones happy. Beyond that, I am generally just trying to survive. Story 67. Enjoying and cherishing life and nature as much as possible while everything in our culture tries to take it away. Story 68. Just having balance, the freedom to do a bit of everything and, as much as possible in the real world, be the owner of my own time. Story 69. Art appreciation and artistic fulfillment are not based on economic success. Savoring and enjoying life, taking good care of myself and the people around me, planting trees whose shade I will never sit in. Call it the anti-pyramid scheme. Story 70. I do not think that a good career equals a good life. I also do not think that you need to be career-focused to climb the business ladder. Story 71. My relationships, also known as friends, social circle, and romantic interests. Story 72. I just kind of exist. Nothing ever really called to me. Story 73. I am in a position where my job supports my lifestyle. I do not care about climbing the career ladder further. I am a simple person. I love spending time with my family, my friends, and my hobbies. I often see how much work stress affects those around me. I go to work my 8 hours, then come home and think nothing of work until I return. Story 74. I was career-focused until last year. Now I spend time with my family and do things other than stare at spreadsheets all day. I still work, but the work-life balance has shifted to favor the life part, so it will be hard to go back. Story 75. People, events, experiences, happiness, and joy. I work to live, not live to work. Story 76. I ride my bicycle up a hill, then come zooming down. I walk my skis up the hill, then come zooming down. Sometimes I just hike up the hill and zoom down with my 2 feet. Sometimes I go in the lakes or ocean and paddle until I cannot anymore. Story 77. Fitness. Every week I set a new fitness goal, with the current objective being a full Ironman triathlon in the next year. Story 78. My free time is separate from my work mode. I am a good employee, but I leave work at the workplace. Story 79. My children, local conservation efforts, educating the public about nature, art, and gardening. Story 80. Fishing, motorcycles, hiking, camping, gaming, beer, bourbon, barbecue, friends and family gatherings. Electrical estimator is what funds my life. I enjoy my job, but I did not dream of doing it. Story 81. Family and doing things I enjoy. I have been told that a career is very important, but the people who told me that are very unhappy in their personal lives. They dislike their children and hate coming home. I stopped trying to figure out what career I should pursue. I will just let it happen. Story 82. Literally everything else. Family, friends, hobbies, traveling. My goal is to work part-time with enough money to be comfortable and focus on my life outside of work. I do not want a 40-plus hour workweek that burns me out and leaves no time for self-care or hobbies. Story 83. I work 4 days a week at a job that covers my bills, which leaves me free time to write fiction, be with my partner, and do occasional charity work. Story 84. Laughing, fun, connecting with friends and family. Freedom from stress is why I work. Story 85. Just keeping my bills paid and saving for fun things. I don't have any grand plans for my life. I will probably never be rich enough to retire early if I am able to retire at all, so I am focusing on keeping my stress levels low and making memories. Story 86. Experiencing life. Having a career is a modern requirement in society. Find a way to make money, but remember you are not alive just to work. Story 87. Learning as much as I can, exploring all of my curiosity, traveling, and building family. Story 88. There is a balance to be had. I can love my job and not live for my job. I had to make my life career focused for a few years so I could get to the sweet spot I am at now. My hustle early on means I get to sit here in my beautiful backyard, drinking coffee and watching the dogs chase lizards. I plan on sitting here all day. My hustle early on means I can afford the vacation I just booked. It means I have good health insurance and the peace of mind that provides. I have focused on my career. Now I get to focus on the life that it has built for me. I have a cool job. It will probably always define who I am to a degree, as I keep people alive in the back of a helicopter. It is a whole thing. But my focus is drinking coffee in the sunshine in this backyard of mine. Story 89. Those who are not career-focused are life-focused. Story 90. Currently, my goal is to move to where my friends are and hopefully find a partner who is willing to marry me. I am seeking fulfilling relationships and a job that I enjoy. Story 91. Earning money to support travel and enjoy the activities I love. Story 92. Family and enjoying life. I work in information technology, so it is not the hardest job and allows me a good work-life balance. Story 93. Making more money. I make money without working through passive income. Maybe finding happiness. Maybe finding love, which is doubtful in this day and age. Getting in peak shape. Reading more history and philosophy books. Getting my Doctor of Philosophy degree. Growing my political connections for when I eventually run for political office. Playing Skyrim because it's fun. Criticizing the United States government, especially our two presidential candidates. Teaching my nephew how to play sports, hunt, and understand the land. Writing a book in the fantasy genre. Learning more cooking recipes. I am already a great cook but always eager to try more. Lastly, looking for property to build my own house with my own two hands. It's a simple but enjoyable life. Kids don't go to college unless you have it paid for or a lot of scholarships. Look into passive incomes, trade schools, or the military for the benefits. Story 94. My joy in life is so short. After seeing beloved family members struggle with potentially life-ending medical issues in their 30s, I had a turning point about how much I invest in my job despite no opportunity for promotions or pay increases. I am currently focusing on doing the bare minimum at work to stay employed while simultaneously spending time in nature, playing with my cats, and planning travel. Story 95. 24/7 care provider for my wife. She suffered a debilitating stroke in September 2023. Story 96. Get money and have fun. Just kidding, I like to do well in my job, but it's not what defines me. My interests tend to vary, but right now I'm really into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I trained for a while as a hobby, but now I'm getting serious and starting to compete. I absolutely love gaming, enjoy cannabis, and am trying to get back into reading because I just won an amazing book from the girl I'm dating. It's Interview with the Vampire, one of my favorite movies of all time and, to me, the best vampire movie around. Story 97. I got married at 23, then immediately had a baby. My husband and child were my career, then another baby. My home was my career, and while all my contemporaries were career-oriented, my best friend is a surgeon, I just stayed my course. I fell into jobs when my kids went to school and now have a pretty big job, but those years as master of my home and family were truly magical. My husband couldn't have done what he did without me taking care of the home, and vice versa. I am grateful to him forever. Even now, my family is everything. That's all that matters. Only family and a few friends who make life worth living. Story 98. Literally nothing. There are a few things I feel compelled to do, but I am just drifting aimlessly. Story 99. Whatever I want to do, I do not let my life be dictated by a career I do not care about. Story 100. I really have no focus. I just kind of muddle along daily, doing whatever. I work, I play video games, and I spend time with my fiancée. But there is no real, overwhelming motivation behind anything. Story 101. My wife, my dog, my family, my friends, music festivals, bicycles, video games, gardening, camping, and my mental and physical health. I work because I have to. I do not want a career. I want a job that I can completely isolate from the rest of my life. Story 102. Family and hobbies. I used to be career-focused, but the pandemic made me rethink life. Story 103. Sharing as many of life's experiences as I can before I die. Story 104. Get through it as easily and painlessly as possible. In the process, try to cause as little harm and extract as much joy as possible from it all. Story 105. Everything else in life that is worth enjoying. Work is not it. Story 106. Career as in earning money? No, I'm just a poor artist taking care of his parent. Story 107. The opposite. I have dedicated my very being to avoiding any kind of work, toil, or labor. Story 108. After a few years of your teenage years, you know what your actual hobbies are and what really makes you happy. This is not temporary happiness but true, satisfactory happiness. My focus is to keep those things close to me. It's hard because working a job doesn't give you much time. Whatever time you get is supposed to be rest time. So, as you grow up, it is really hard, but for me, it is beyond explanation how necessary it is. Story 109. Trying to be happy, have some long-term goals to further that, but ultimately just want to be happy. Story 110. Raising a proper family. Keeping my children out of public schools. Enjoying every moment as best I can. Story 111. Enjoying my life doing things that make me happy, which definitely is not my job. That just pays the bills for me to enjoy my real life. Story 112. I used to be career-focused until I realized that I was just being exploited. My reward for 60-hour weeks was more work and 3% raises. Now I focus on my family. Gaming and music are more important to me. Story 113. Just living my life. I read, draw, paint, sculpt, crochet, travel, cosplay, and spend time with friends. Making that my priority instead of my career has saved me mentally and emotionally. Story 114. What focus? How are you modern internet addicts even still deluded enough to think you matter? Nothing you do survives. Nothing. You basically don't exist. You literally won't exist soon. All that hard work amounts to nothing. You die in an institution bed either way, as the young henpeck the meaningless baubles of your life. If you want to work like hell, go for it. I'm not trying to stop you, but I hope it's what you actually want and not just what you've been told to do. Because there is nothing more severe in this life than the days and moments as you approach that wall when the end is imminent and all you have left are your regrets. I'm old enough to have seen a lot of people of many different stripes die. Not one of them said, "I wish I'd spent more time at work." Forget capitalism. Work to live if you have to. Don't live to work unless you genuinely want to, and demand the powers that be for every loose penny you can grab. Forget them. Story 115. Wait, do you guys have a focus in life? Story 116. Enjoyment. Life is nothing to me without laughter, music, food, stories, a nice nap, and a purring cat. If my career is seen as the only measure of success, and if the grind and hustle are all people expect of me, but I have no time to enjoy life, then what is the point of existence? I am not a machine, content to toil away. While satisfaction can be found in a career, the day it becomes dull repetition with any financial gain going towards bills, or even most of it, I want out. Story 117. Maybe they are trying to keep themselves sane because the economy is getting tougher. Story 118. My son is on the autism spectrum and entering kindergarten. My daughter is entering 4th grade. I want to be the best possible role model and parent I can be, not necessarily their best friend, but someone they can look up to. Story 119. I have a butterfly and bee garden that grows larger every year. I am working on publishing a book of letters. Story 120. I want to live somewhere that is warm year-round, watch a lot of baseball, and have enough friends to always be busy if I choose to be. That is it. Story 121. restoring divinity back onto this earthly plane, and so it is. Story 122, family. Me. In that order. I do not care about my career or work. Story 123, traveling. After being let go from my job during coronavirus disease, that has been my main focus. I started 2022 with 0 countries visited and have now visited 7, soon to be 8. Story 124, being a good husband, father, and friend, in that order. Above everything else, I seek the wisdom to do these things. Nothing else matters. Story 125, finding employment that supports my mental well-being. Story 126, my focus is doing right by God and being the best wife I can be to my husband. I have never been career-oriented. I burn out at the smallest inconvenience in my workplace, but staying home and cleaning and cooking helps me de-stress. I have taken days off work just to stay home and clean. Story 127, I just live my life. I have never really had a focus, and at this point I doubt I will. Edit. I am not suicidal or anything. I just kind of drift along the river of life wherever it takes me. Story 128. I think contribution to society involves treating people in your life with kindness, educating and cultivating yourself so you can make more informed and ethical choices, and simply bringing joy to humans and animals. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.